All right. Congressman, we appreciate you stopping by the station today. I know you're just sort of making the rounds, but this is our first chance to sort of get your initial impressions of Washington. What are your first impressions?
First impression of Washington is it really is a mess. I mean, for all of us that have been on the outside looking in, we can see that there's some issues and problems. You get on the inside and you look around and you realize a lot of the systems and structures of things that are supposed to work correctly actually don't work very well at all. And our default is to increase spending rather than the default is to stay the same or to go down in spending. And so if you do nothing, spending continues to increase, and you can see where the problems really rise. Just the way our committees work, the way things are overseen or not overseen, and the way our spending work, we've got to solve some systemic issues as well as involving actual pieces of legislation that we've got to go through.
So have you been able to identify sort of individually what things you can tackle or you're going to try and tackle here in the initial months?
I'm going to focus in on the 3 areas of my 3 committees initially. Transportation infrastructure is one of my committees, budget, one of my committees, and then oversight and government reform. And in oversight and government reform, I'm actually a chairman of one of the subcommittees that deals with intergovernmental relationships, deals with procurement, deals with all of our contracts we do. It doesn't actually set the contract, it sets the process for how we do that contract to make sure that we're actually doing it well and efficiently. And so those are the areas I'm going to lock in on, especially on the budget and the oversight area. Initially, there are a lot of things happening in transportation that are great I'm going to focus in on, but the big issue right now is going to be budget. How are we spending these dollars and where can we cut back and how fast can we do that?
And you mentioned you're going to be looking at unfunded mandates as well.
Yeah, the unfunded mandate side comes in my oversight. That is the relationship between the states, the cities, the counties, and the federal government. Somebody in the federal government has a preference, they pass a bill, and then the states have to pay for it. That's not right. We should, if the federal government wants to do something, they should pay for it or say we don't do that at all. And right now we can't afford to do it, so we've got to cut back doing that at all, rather than saying we want something to be done and we're going to make somebody in some city pay for it. It's really a de facto tax increase, but just the federal government's not raising the taxes. They're making the city or the state raise the taxes to do it for them, and that's not right. So we've got to shift the way we're doing it.
So you're going to be looking for specific mandates that maybe can be done away with?
Absolutely. We're looking at not only mandates that can be done away with, but we're also looking at the process to keep it from happening again in the future. It's not just solve the issues now and then more come up. We've got to solve the process and be able to tell the federal government we can't do unfunded mandates. That's not something we can do. We don't have the responsibility as a federal government to go to the states and tell them what to do on that. The states have the responsibility to take care of those issues, and they can handle them the best solution that they see fit. That's their responsibility. And so we've got to start separating the two of those out, as well as trying to solve a really big budget mess and take that on.
Policy and politics aside, has it been sort of exciting? You attended, I assume, the State of the Union address,
Yes.
And your own swearing in. That must have been all very exciting.
It was. To walk in for your swearing in is very humbling. I put my hand in. For me, I chose the Bible my mom gave me actually the year I accepted Christ when I was 8 years old. So to take that Bible into the house chamber, my daughter that's 10 years old was with me on the floor for the swearing in, and to stand there and be sworn in. To look at the voting box there, which we have a little voting card you stick in, you actually register your vote there, and to realize there's 750,000 people in central Oklahoma that I represent them when I vote. And so I take that very seriously when I push that button and put in my card, and understand that's not just my card. That card represents 750,000 people. That's their card as well. And that's just very humbling. State of the Union's amazing to be there and be a part of it, but the night before, all the freshmen every year have been invited over to the White House to get a chance to meet the president and to get a chance to be there and to have dinner. And so Monday night, my wife and I were there in the White House, and to be able to walk in and see how this particular president set up the White House, and then to be a part of the State of the Union was all very interesting and, again, very humbling to realize I'm walking in and representing our district here, and got to do that well. I was also fascinated with his portraits. And every president chooses how they want to decorate the White House. You come in the east end of the White House, and the majority of the portraits there are portraits of FDR and Woodrow Wilson, which kind of sends a signal. This is the kind of president he wants to be like and has been like. And so it's been fascinating just to watch that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.